As far as contests go, Maria Sharapova versus Simona Halep is going to be tough to beat in the women's draw at the US Open. I'm here to break down how the match was won and where it was lost as well. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Before we get going, if you don't want to miss any of my US Open content this fortnight, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a video. The first day of the US Open had a fair few upsets, but this particular result, I'm not sure if you really would call it one. Maria Sharapova ranked outside the top 100 now and into the tournament via a wildcard entry. However, she had a 6-love head-to-head lead on Simona Halep, who was the number 2 seed at the tournament. This was Sharapova's first Grand Slam appearance since her drugs ban, which lasted 18 months and ended in April this year. So I think a lot of people were maybe thinking that she would show signs of rust and that Halep would be the more at ease with the situation on the day. But you know the results, 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 in the favour of Sharapova, and I'm here to quickly run through what were the main factors of the ending results. So how did Sharapova get this victory? I think the first point to note is the contrast in placement of both Sharapova's shots and Halep's shots during this match. I think one of the basic elements of tennis that people learn when they start the sport after they've got the ground strokes under control is to hit into the spaces. Naturally the thing to do, hit away from your opponent, get them on the run, and open up the space to put away a winner or to finish the point and force your opponent into an error. It sounds simple enough, but actually it's something we've been seeing less and less of on the WTA circuit, where the players aren't willing to go for that slim margin, or whether they are simply too tentative and have themselves in a mindset where they are playing not to lose rather than playing to win. On Monday, something Sharapova did very obviously was go for the angles from the offset. Whether she was attacking Halep's serves with lethal returns or really just changing up a neutral rally, Sharapova was going for those lines, going for the corners, going for the spaces in the court. While there were a good lot of unforced errors during the clash, there were also a lot of quality rallies and a lot of both players running left to right, really covering the court. But for the most part, it was Sharapova who was making the first move, who was putting Halep on the run. And yes, Halep is a defensive player, but it always seemed to be Sharapova taking the initiative, going for the corners, going for the smaller margins. This immediately put Sharapova on the front foot. And yes, Halep is a defensive player, but I think this ultimately cost her. Yes, she was feeling the ball well, she was defending well, but even on the few occasions where she seemed to have some control in the rally, Halep did not seem like she wanted to go for the sides of the court. Many times we saw the Romanian just pushing the ball back into the centre of the court, and as it travelled slower with a higher bounce than Sharapova's ball, the Russian was able to crack down on Halep's offering and really just push Halep back, and it was never going to end well for her. Which brings us nicely onto our next point, which is Sharapova's aggression versus Halep's defence. Now, Halep is definitely one of the best defenders on the WTA Tour, as her ranking shows. She's tireless. This match could have been over in straight sets, and Halep made it go to 3 thanks purely to her ability to stay in the moment, her resilience, her dedication to chasing down every single ball, making Sharapova play that extra shot. However, this result was just another confirmation that when a power player, an aggressive player, is nailing their marks for the most part, then any defensive player, however great they may be, is going to be on the back foot and is not going to have the match on their racket. In the French Open final, Halep was a set and a breakup on Jelena Ostapenko, and then the Latvian came roaring, really just going full out aggressive, striking every shot with utter, complete ferocity. And Halep just did not have control of that match, and all she could do was hang on, and hanging on was not enough. Same with Sharapova. It has been brought to my attention, and it's true that it's not been mentioned a lot, about the unforced error count of Sharapova. After the nearly 3-hour match yesterday, she actually ended with 64 unforced errors, which is a lot even for a 3-set encounter. It shows it wasn't a clash of the highest quality all the way through. Honestly, a lot of it was Halep fighting but not really playing that smart of a game, and Sharapova having dips and rises. When she was on song, she was incredible, but there were blips, especially when she had a point for 5-1 in the second set and was brought back level. She was dumping unforced errors. But I have to be fair, and for the most part, I think that A lot of Sharapova's unforced errors were the result of her going for broke. It's very much the style Jelena Ostapenko went for at the French Open, and that got her to the title. From the word go, Ostapenko was after the winner, and it didn't matter how many unforced errors she hit, she composed herself, gritted her teeth, and went for the winner again. And that's exactly what Sharapova was trying to do. There was no tentativeness in her shots, there was no holding back. She was moving into the court, she was going for the lines. Not only did she end with 64 unforced errors, but also 60 winners, which shows that she wasn't just an erratic mess, she was constantly regrouping and going for the big shots again, and she was landing them a lot. So by no means was Sharapova flawless on Monday, in fact she was anything but. However, she had a clear strategy which she stuck to throughout the match, and in the end she was landing enough of the big shots to outdo Halep's defence. Next we come to the contrast in serves, and Sharapova at 6'2" has been known for not possessing as good a weapon in her serve as she could have at her height. On paper, her service stats don't actually look that great. She hit 7 double faults, only landed 58% of her first serves, won 65% of her first serves, which isn't OTT impressive. Actually, Halep was landing more first serves, but she still wasn't winning as many of those first serve points, and that really tells you something. Halep absolutely needed more pace on that first serve, but as well, she needed to pick her placements better, and this is where I was talking about Halep fighting, but not necessarily being smart. The serve out wide was not working. Sharapova was going for those winners from the offset. When she had a wide serve, she would crack it down the line off both wings. When Halep sent the serve down the tee or to the body, Sharapova was more inclined to send it back to Halep or somewhere in the court where Halep could set up to start dictating the point. That wasn't happening enough, and definitely on a lot of the big service points that Halep lost, it was due to serving out wide and Sharapova really digging into the point from the offset. Sharapova, meanwhile, might not have been landing as many first serves, but she was really going for it with all of her serves. Halep had opportunity on the serve because frankly Sharapova could have done a lot better, but at the end of the day she didn't take those chances, and Sharapova was coming up with the big serves when she needed them. The fourth thing I have to mention that did help Sharapova, I believe, on her way to the victory was the lengthy bathroom break that she took after dropping the second set that she could so easily have won. After the match, Halep wasn't really that willing to talk about it. She says that she's used to it, it's something that Sharapova usually does. Clearly wasn't too happy with it. Throughout the match, I think Halep's mentality was really very good. Even till the last point, it looked like she really believed that she could win, and she even had break points in Sharapova's final service game. The very fact that she got it to a third set was credit to her staying in the moment and keeping quiet belief that she wasn't done in the encounter. So I think that the bathroom break was less of a mental thing for Halep and more of a physical thing for both, because it gave Sharapova, who wasn't used to these long matches, having been away from the sport for so long due to the ban, it gave her time to recover herself maybe a bit, to calm down, to breathe a little, I guess. For Halep, it stalled the momentum that she had been building up at the end of the second set. She was finding her groove a lot more. She was going for the spaces in the court more, which she kind of stopped taking the initiative and doing in the third set. So rather than playing on Halep's mind, because she's a top player who knows not to let this sort of thing get to her, especially if she knows it's coming, it was a stall in momentum and definitely helped Sharapova as she went on to break in the second game of the third set. But right at the end of the match, it was really Halep who finished herself off. Sharapova seemed a little more tense as she was serving for the win. Halep had her chances and she was very nearly there. And suddenly she was absorbing the Sharapova power, sending it right back at her and finding those spaces on the court, almost looking aggressive. And when she had break points, she was really forcing Sharapova from side to side, and she was set up for a forehand down the line. She looked ready to nail the forehand and she sent it into the net cord, and her reaction kind of said everything. It was a massive opportunity blown. That was a lifeline for Sharapova and one that she took. So there it is, Halep out in round one. To me, not particularly unexpected given their head-to-head and given the way Sharapova can play. Do I think Sharapova should be here in the first place? I'm sure most of you know that no, I don't think she should. And I also want to comment a bit on the reception Sharapova got at the match and after the match, and the way the media dealt with things and why I don't feel it was appropriate. But this is about the tennis, and however I feel about Sharapova and whether or not she should be here, she showed that she has tremendous talent, that she can play good tennis, and you have to give her credit for that. So thank you for watching, but please let me know what you thought of the match. I say it how I see it, and to be honest, I was pretty tired as well, so maybe I missed something, maybe there was another point that I haven't mentioned. If you have other thoughts or if you agree, whatever you want to say, let me know in the comments section. I really want to hear your opinions. Please like and share the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to keep coming back to the channel for more US Open content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.